The autumn budget is getting closer, and we as a nation are set for one of the biggest tax raids ever. In today's video, we will see why UK businesses are already closing their doors as Rachel Reeves prepares. Not only that, but we will also go over all of the latest news from up and down the country. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and join our fast-growing community. Thousands of solvent British businesses are shutting down in order to avoid an unexpected increase in levies on entrepreneurs in the budget. The number of members' voluntary liquidations, MVL, this month doubled for the whole of October last year. According to notices filed in the Gazette, the number of advertised business closures in the country exceeded 1,600. The number of liquidators appointed to such closures accelerated to about 238% in the week ending October 18th, helping to drive up a 51% increase in insolvencies week on week. The spike in liquidations comes as Chancellor Rachel Reeves considers cutting a capital gains tax break, known as business asset disposal relief, in her upcoming autumn budget. Currently, entrepreneurs pay a reduced tax of 10% on profits they make from the sale or liquidation of their companies under the policy, compared to the standard 20% charged on higher-rate taxpayers. Julie Palmer, a partner at corporate recovery specialist Begbie's Trainer, said, "Concerns around the anticipated restriction or removal of business asset disposal relief in the budget, which has long been mooted by the government, is the main driver behind a lot of these MVLs. Any change to the relief is expected to be part of a wider shake-up of capital gains tax, which could be increased in the upcoming budget. The capital gains tax, which is levied on profit made from the sale of an asset that has risen in value, could be increased to as much as 39%. The Chancellor has ruled out increasing other key levies, which leaves her with a limited range of options to raise around £40 billion to fill a budgetary hole left by the previous government." The financier and former director of Premier League club Newcastle United, Amanda Staveley, said she liquidated one of her businesses because of the threat of higher capital gains tax. Vesna Souden, head of company secretarial at Blick Rothenberg Ltd, said, "We have seen an increase in liquidation requests in the last couple of months since the speculations about the changes that the new budget may bring started circulating. These were mainly driven by the company owners' concerns about the possible changes in the inheritance tax and the increase in capital gains tax. Inheritance tax, often dubbed the most hated tax, could also be on the Chancellor's radar. The tax, which is charged at 40% and applies to estates worth over £325,000, draws much criticism as it is seen as double taxation. However, the IFS have proposed a way to change the tax, stating, "A good start would be ending, or at least capping, the unjustified exemptions for pension wealth, business assets and agricultural land, a change that would raise around £2 billion a year, assuming no behavioural response." An explosion of homelessness seen across Britain could get worse if funding isn't protected in the upcoming budget, Rachel Reeves has been told. More than 70 of the top homelessness charities have written an open letter to the Chancellor, calling on the government to safeguard the sector as £1 billion could drop from it. Homeless Link, which coordinated the letter, said funding is on a cliff edge as rough sleeping rose by 27% in 2023 and 60% since 2021. Some services are facing cutbacks and redundancies, but others may need to close. Responding to the letter, Homeless Link CEO Rick Henderson said, "Beyond the next financial year, there are deep flaws with the current system of homelessness funding that need fixing. Funding, which could be lost by April 2025, includes £548 million, Rough Sleeping Initiative, RSI funding, and £435 million, Rough Sleeping Accommodation Programme, RSAP funding," says Homeless Link. "It must therefore be an important priority of the government to reshape this picture through delivering a ring-fenced homelessness funding system from 2026-27 onward. In Mansfield, Nottinghamshire, homelessness has tripled in recent years. Rough sleeping numbers have increased dramatically," said Steph Reed, Senior Street Outreach Team at Framework. "There's just not enough suitable accommodation for people. A lack of social housing and an increase in prison releases is putting pressure on an already saturated sector." "We're picking them up because they're rough sleeping," said Steph. Framework, a charity in the Midlands, is facing a shortfall of £189,122. "We've seen an explosion of homelessness and massive increases in terms of the need of people," said Claire McGonigal, Deputy Chief Executive of Framework. "The system is completely blocked up." "The housing crisis is unprecedented," she said. "There are no affordable units for people to live in. The overwhelmed system is making it harder to help people with complex needs, which could include PTSD and alcohol or drug abuse. The wraparound service that people need to recover is just at breaking point," said Claire. A Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government spokesperson said, "We have inherited homelessness levels which are far too high, and this is having a devastating impact on people's lives. We are taking action by setting up a dedicated interministerial group, chaired by the Deputy Prime Minister, that brings together ministers from across government to develop a long-term strategy to get us back on track to end homelessness. Local authorities and their partners deliver vital work to tackle rough sleeping, and funding allocations will be set out following the budget." Lastly, King Charles is preparing a surprising plan for his beloved royal residence. The royal family has filed plans with a local government council to open a nearly 300-person venue on the grounds of Balmoral Castle in Scotland. Balmoral is an estate that has been in the family for nearly 200 years and has been open to the public under the reign of King Charles. There are plans to turn the Queen's Building, built in the 1980s for staff quarters and located just north of the main castle, into a venue which could potentially include weddings. These plans were filed with the Aberdeenshire Council, seeking permission to use the building for weddings, dinners, meetings, and other events. The application includes plans to use a large outdoor patio for events of up to 277 guests, host live performances, and serve alcohol until after midnight. The plans also insist music would be kept to a low level and that nobody would be disturbed. Changes to the layout would include making use of an outdoor patio for a further 144 guests. The move is the latest under King Charles to open the Balmoral estate, the beloved summer home of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, where she spent her final days in 2022, to the public. The royals opened Balmoral Castle to extensive public tours for the first time in more than 170 years, and tickets sold out within 24 hours of going on sale. Despite submitting plans to expand events and functions in one of its buildings, the King's Balmoral estate has said it currently has no plans to stage commercial weddings, according to the BBC. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.